and senior defense officials, as well as prominent academics from 47 countries attending the dialogue. Now, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will deliver his keynote address tonight as well. With the defense leaders of China and the US scheduled to speak, observers are hoping for more clarity over the trajectory of Sino-United States relationship. To tell us more about the dialogue, particularly on the US-China relations, I have Asia News Network editor SHEFALI REKHI. Welcome, SHEFALI.
Hi, Haryanto.
Now, SHEFALI, what will we hear, from US and China at this year's dialogue?
Okay, it looks like, as you said, it's going to be a very exciting time. This is the 18th Asia Security Dialogue, and a lot of things have been happening even before in the build-up to this dialogue. So I think PM Lee is going to set the agenda by emphasizing stable and constructive dialogue, because these talks are coming at a time of heightened tensions between US and China on the trade front. And tomorrow we're going to be watching out for what the US Acting Defense Secretary, Patrick Shanahan, is going to be saying on America's commitment to this region.
Right.
And he's already said that China is his priority, even though North Korea and the Middle East and all still weigh on his mind. And then on Sunday we have Chinese Defense Minister General Wei Fenghe talking about China's role. So I think it's going to be a very newsy weekend.
Yeah, certainly is. Now, talking about China, now SHEFALI, we are reading that China has sent a high-level delegation. It hasn't been so far for the past 8 years at the dialogue. So what is China thinking now?
You know, you're absolutely right. The last time the Chinese defense minister was here was way back in 2011, when it was the 10th year of the Shangri-La Dialogue. So clearly, the tensions that are going on is weighing on everyone's mind. And I've been talking around to some experts and all. So people think the message could be that this is not a time to blink. You need to keep your eyes wide open and track everything that's going on. And it's also possible that he's going to talk about China's position and clarify if there are any comments that are made against it. And China's also been talking about inclusiveness and not exclusiveness, although that itself has been a matter of debate. What does he really mean? So
And people of course are wondering, right, this dialogue, it involves a lot of countries in the region and all that. So how does it affect Singapore and particularly Singaporeans as well? Does it affect us at all?
I think if you take a wider perspective, these dialogues are very, very significant for Singapore, and everything kind of plays into one another, right? So as you can see, Singapore likes to maintain a neutral position between United States and China. And very rightly so. We have renewed our defense partnerships with both countries already. The other thing is, when globally relevant things happen in your home country, then what you do is you get a first-hand opinion and you form your own opinion. Where are things going? Is it going to build up more, or is it like people going to be more rational? Will it be more conciliatory? Beyond that, let's not forget that the waters around us are very, very significant. It's the Straits of Malacca. It's perhaps one of the world's most significant trade routes. And I think about 1/3 of the oil passes through these waters. And then, it's the shortest route between Africa, the Persian Gulf countries, as well as Asia. And Asia is growing. So the needs for oil are going to go on increasing. So it's absolutely important that we have stability in these waters. Beyond that, I think it's raising the Singapore's profile a lot more. We had President Xi and Taiwan's then leader Ma Ying-jeou coming over in 2015. We had the Trump-Kim summit happening here. It's all because we've always maintained a very neutral position. So it's raising our profile. So that also means that people are talking about Singapore, and it might mean tourism dollars. I think we need that.
On the tourism front as well, right? It helps with that as well. Now back to US and China, SHEFALI. So the general security outlook should improve after this year's dialogue. Should it?
I think it's very, very hard to say at this juncture. We have to watch. Well, actually the talks are happening. So whenever people can sit down and discuss things, it means it's clarifying some positions. But then there are so many factors, What is your home ground thinking? What is the domestic issues at play? What is the economics in each country? So let's just watch and see.
Right, there you have it, Shefali. Thank you so much for coming onto our show now to share a bit more about the Shangri-La Dialogue that's going to be taking place starting tonight all the way till Sunday. Now, of course, we are going full force with this. For all the news and stories and videos and updates on Shangri-La Dialogue, certainly head over to our website, that is www.straitstimes.com. Now, moving on to our second segment, certainly another thing to look forward to this weekend, the highly anticipated Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham. Now, the match will take place at the Wanda Metropolitana Stadium in Madrid. Now, the game kicks off at 3 a.m. Singapore time on Sunday morning. Now, to share more on what to expect for the final, I have Deputy Sports Editor Lim Han Ming with me. Welcome, Han Ming.
Hi, Haryanto.
Han Ming, I'm just going to cut to the chase. What is your prediction with the match this weekend? Liverpool or Spurs?
That's a tough one, but as a Liverpool fan for the last 30 years, I think my money's on the Reds for their 6th European Cup. But of course, I mean, I think Liverpool are the slight favourites, but in the cup final, you never know. Both teams have the same kind of playing style, which is based on pace and hard pressing.
Right.
So I think whichever team that seizes the initiative from the start will go on to win the game.
Okay. But you're saying that it's Liverpool, but that's also because you're a Liverpool fan lah.
I'm kind of biased, but I really think it's a 50-50 game.
All right.
But I think who wants it more shows the energy, and we should get a very good idea in the first 15 minutes. I think both teams like to get off to a fast start, so I think that will be key to the final.
And Haming, you know, just yesterday when we were discussing this, we talked about the team manager, because now each team manager, this is the first time that they're managing the respective team, right? So how have they fared so far?
I mean, I think Klopp is the best thing that has happened to Liverpool in the last 30 years. It's not only the brand of football he preaches, but also, you know, the passion that epitomizes the heart and soul of the club and also resonates with the fans. So I think there's the jinx of him losing 6 straight cup finals with Liverpool and Borussia Dortmund, his former club. So I think that will weigh on his mind. So if Liverpool win tomorrow, that will probably get the monkey off his back and instill the kind of belief in his players that they can go on to win more trophies. As for Spurs, I think Mauricio Pochettino has done a fantastic job at the club, despite not signing any players in the last 2 transfer windows. There's a lot of rumours of him being linked to other big clubs. So I think if he wins his first trophy with Spurs, and also Spurs' first European Cup, I think that may convince him to stay at the club.
Talking about that, you know, just touching on that, other clubs sniffing around Pochettino as well. So what about that?
He's been linked with Real Madrid for a long time before Zidane took over, and there's a couple of big clubs who have parted ways with their managers. So it'd be interesting to see whether, you know, they get to win this European Cup and convince him that this club has ambition and, you know, they can go on to win more trophies.
And Hanming, you know, of course, one is to look out for the managers, and the other certainly, you know, for each, every time when a match starts, is the players, right? We are looking at the players. Which players do you think will impress us in the match? You know, the ones to look out for.
I think the big question before the final is whether Harry Kane will be fit enough to start the final, because he's been out for a long while. For Liverpool, I think we all know about their terrific attack, the trio, defender Virgil van Dijk and goalkeeper Alisson. But I feel in the final, the key players will be the fullbacks, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Because unlike the semi-finals, where they bomb forward and join the attack against Barcelona, they should exercise some caution against Spurs in the final tomorrow, because Lucas Moura, if he plays, and Son Heung-min, they will be there to exploit any gaps they leave behind at the back. So as for the midfielders, I think also Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum, they are also key to try and contribute to the attack more, as we all saw the damage they did to Barcelona. So I think they will be key. As for Spurs, I think goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, will be key, because goalkeepers can actually win or lose a cup final for the teams. And Hugo hasn't had a very good season where he made some blunders.
Yeah.
And in the last game against Liverpool, he actually made the error which
Yeah.
contributed to the winning goal. So I think Hugo will be key for Spurs. Yeah.
And you know, Hanming, now that you mentioned you're putting your bet on Liverpool carrying the trophy
Yes.
for Champions League.
They never walk alone.
Champions League. What is your prediction then in terms of the scoreline?
I really think it's going to be an explosive final.
Yeah.
Unlike the Europa League final, which we saw, which was a KG first half,
Yeah.
came alive in second half.
Yeah.
But I think it will be a 2-2 draw in regulation time. After extra time, a penalty shootout,
Right.
which Liverpool will win.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. So penalty
Just like
shootout.
the 2005 Champions League.
Right,
final.
right. So long drawn and then penalty shootout, and then that's when, bam, Liverpool is gonna take the cup.
Yes. Hopefully.
Hopefully. So there you've heard it from our Deputy Sports Editor Lim Han Ming, who's putting his money on Liverpool. For those of you, of course, Liverpool fans out there, I'm pretty sure you guys are excited as well as Han Ming. But for the Spurs fan, also, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys are not going to go down without a fight as well. All right. So once again, thank you, Han Ming, for being on the show to tell us more about the Champions League final that's going to be happening this Sunday morning, right?
Sunday
in
morning,
Singapore
Singapore
time.
time.
Yeah. And it's, of course, it's being played at Madrid.
Yes.
That is all we have for you today on our big story. Now, for more news and videos, do head on to our website, that is www.straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Catch us next week on Monday for more stories on a big story.